This is Ipomoea indica, blue dawn flower. And a lot of people, it's in the family along with morning glories, and this is a perennial version of a morning glory type flower. So as you can see, this is a vine, and it's a perennial vine. I've grown this in my yard. I've tried to eradicate it unsuccessfully over the last 5 or 6 years. You can see here that it has a striking blue-purple flower with a pinkish throat, and the leaves have a heart shape, but they also have the trilobe there that you see along with it, so kind of two different leaf shapes. And this is actually a good example of how to use this plant. You see it grown on a chain link fence, and I would tell you in design, I'm just going to get into it because vines in general I'm reluctant to use, and this is probably the best example of why. They're striking plants, many of them, vines I mean, and but probably the biggest challenge is containment and controlling where these things end up. This one's on a fence where they can kind of keep it controlled by the fence itself, and it's got paving around it on most sides, so they can control that. And I think that's probably the best way to use this. If you've got shrubs or trees nearby, you're going to see a little later in the video where that happened in my yard. I have not been able to get rid of it. It was taking over everything, climbing on everything, and 30-40 feet away from where I planted the plant, these runners show up every year in other things, and in my pool equipment area, inside trees, all over the fencing. Just amazing how prolific this thing is. It's a survivor, to say the least. So the reason you use it in design, obviously, is you can use it for a fence cover like they have here, and also for the flowers. The flowers are stunning. These flowers last all day long. Mine has flowers most of the season, starting from, I would say, early summer all the way till now. It's the end of summer, actually. It's middle October, and I still see these flowers around. But the heaviest bloom is really through the middle of summer when it's nice and warm. The plant has had time to grow back in if you've had it burn back from frost, and just a very showy, beautiful flower. Those flowers are about 4 inches across, 4 to 5 inches across, and the color is really striking. I don't water mine anymore, and the runners seem to root and show up in other places. So, you know, again, it's very much a survivor. So if you're going to use this in a design, you better know how you're going to contain it and that you really love it, because it's going to be around for a while, I can promise you that. As you can tell, I'm just not a big fan of any plant that I have this much trouble controlling, so I think that's the biggest hesitation, and for me it's a big mark against this plant. Here I'm showing you some examples of where it's grown into a number of other plantings. This is hard to read visually, I understand that, but it's kind of making the point. Here it is climbing up into a tree. Here it's wrapped itself all around some shrubs and now growing up into this tree. So be very aware of what you're getting into, but if you have a way to contain it, like in the earlier picture, like on a fence or a trellis or something, can be a nice showy addition to a garden. And yeah, there it is, just hanging out, climbing all over my jasmine. Jasmine's a lot easier to control and not as invasive. So Ipomoea or indica, which is blue dawn flower. Beautiful flower if you put it in the right spot and know what you're getting into. Enjoy that one.